here we begin the 6th chapter of First Flight, The 100 Dresses, Part 2 by L. Bisor Esther. If you remember what we had concluded our Part 1 with. You remember Wanda Petrinsky had done most beautiful 100 designs for the drawing competition and she had been declared the winner, but unfortunately she was not there at that point of time, right? And remember, it was Peggy and Maddie who had, spoken about those two dresses, and they noticed those two dresses, those drawings of the blue faded dress and the jungle green dress over there, right? So let's see what's further. Let's catch on. In the 100 Dresses Part 2, the author teaches us a lesson not to hurt anybody's feelings. Well, that's a beautiful message. Quite often, very often, we land up hurting others' feelings without even realizing it. Yes, some do it intentionally, they purposely do it, and some land up doing it unintentionally. They don't realize that you are hurting someone's feelings. Now, this is not necessary that it has to be because of racial discrimination, but yes, it is also a possible chance where you land up, hurting your own members, your siblings, your parents, your friends, anyone around you. So it could be anybody. So this is the message, most important message, that we should not hurt anyone's feelings. All the girls in the school made fun of Wanda, a Polish girl, as in it was one category of the Americans, one type of Americans who lived in the underdeveloped areas, right? Maybe the slums. As a result, she left the school. Now you remember, they used to make fun of her. She never uttered a word. She never spoke back. She never argued. She never actually, fought back. She used to remain calm, but she couldn't take that much longer. And so because they made fun of her, she left the school. Then the feeling of repentance arose among the students who teased Wanda. Then they started repenting, all of them, those who used to actually make fun of her. Peggy and Maddie even go to her house to stop her from leaving that place, but they could not meet her as she had already left. She had literally left that place even. They write a letter to her accepting their fault. In the letter, they agree, they confess that it was our fault. Wanda sends a letter to Miss Mason, the class teacher, on the eve of Christmas. She greets everybody Merry Christmas and gives them the gifts of her paintings. Just imagine what a beautiful girl with a beautiful heart. She still wishes them all a Merry Christmas. She could have been angry because of them she had to shift from there, but she did not do that. She actually wished them on the eve of Christmas, and she also gave them the gifts of her paintings. Such a beautiful girl, so beautiful at heart. That's what they say, again, don't judge the book by its cover. You don't know what a beautiful person that person is, having such a beautiful soul. While the class was circling the room, now remember, in the end, Miss Mason told all the children that you look around the paintings, walk around and have a look at all the paintings. So while they were circling the room, the monitor from the principal's office brought Miss Mason a note. So the monitor came from the principal's office and he gave the class teacher a note. Miss Mason read it several times and studied it thoughtfully for a while. She read it and read it and read it many times, and she was thinking over it. Then she clapped her hands. Attention class, everyone back to their seat. When the shuffling of feet had stopped, when everyone stopped moving, when they all settled down and the room was still and quiet, everyone was absolutely quiet, Miss Mason said, I have a letter from Wanda's father that I want to read to you. Says, I have received a letter from Wanda Petrinsky's father, and this letter you all should know. Miss Mason stood there a moment, and the silence in the room grew tense. Everyone was wondering why she's not speaking and what has come in that letter, and expectant. The teacher adjusted her glasses slowly and deliberately. She was finding it hard to talk. So, she was gathering all the courage while she was doing all this. Her manner indicated that what was coming. From her body language, you could make out something, wrong is coming, like something wrong has been mentioned. Wrong in the sense something saddening sort of. This letter from Wanda's father was a matter of great importance. Everybody listened closely. Listened closely as in listened with attention as Miss Mason read the brief note. It was just a very small note, but yes, everyone listened attentively when she read it. Dear teacher, my Wanda will not come to your school anymore. Jake also. Now he is addressing the teacher. Dear teacher, he's giving a salutation, and he says, my Wanda, as in he's the father, right? Wanda and Jake, both brother and sister, both will not be coming to your school anymore. Now we move away to big city. No more holler Polak. He says, it's very different. It's very difficult, when people make fun of your names. Now here, I'm sure they are doing that, but in big cities, nobody bothers to make fun of your name. No more ask why funny name. In big cities, no one bothers. Just like here they have been doing. Plenty of funny names in the big city. Big city has many weird names, very odd names and strange names. But no one makes fun unlike here. Yours truly, Jan Petrinsky, the father. He says, he mentions the reason that why actually they have been forced to leave the city, to leave this school. Because, their names were being made fun of. They were asked weird questions and, it was not really actually good for them. A deep silence met the reading of this letter. Everybody was silent when they heard this letter. Miss Mason took off her glasses, blew on them, and wiped them on her soft white handkerchief. Miss Mason, after she finished reading that, she took off her glasses, she cleaned it with her white soft handkerchief, and she put them on again and looked at the class. She was very disappointed, extremely disappointed. She was very sad, literally heartbroken. When she spoke, her voice was very low. Obviously, her heart was broken. I am sure that none of the boys and girls in room 13, that was the room where they all were, would purposely and deliberately hurt anyone's feelings because his or her name happened to be a long and familiar one. She says, I'm sure none of you have actually purposely done that. Y'all haven't really actually made fun of the name just because it is a long and a very unfamiliar one. It's different from yours. So you guys have actually made fun of it. I don't think so. That's not been the case. I prefer to think that what was said in thoughtlessness. You didn't really intend to hurt the person. It was totally thoughtlessness. I know that all of you feel the way I do. I feel sad, I feel disappointed that this is a very unfortunate thing to have happened. This thing shouldn't have happened. It's a very unlucky thing that actually has happened. Unfortunate and sad, both. And I want you all to think about it. She says, the teacher did not shout at them immediately that who did it, because of y'all she went, blah, blah, blah. She did not do that. What did she ask them to do? She told them, now you people think over it. You introspect. What do you mean by introspect? Start thinking. You yourselves give it a thought that why this has happened. Were you a part of it? Do you think this should have happened? Obviously not. It was very unfortunate and sad to have happened. So she asked them to actually think over it. The first period was a study period. Maddie tried to prepare her lessons, but she could not put her mind on her work. Can you imagine why? Can you just give it a thought? Why she could not concentrate on her work? Think. She had a very sick feeling in the bottom of her stomach. She was not feeling good. Why? True, she had not enjoyed listening to Peggy ask Wanda how many dresses she had in her closet, but she had said nothing. Why was Maddie feeling bad? Why she could not concentrate on her work? Yes, she had not liked the idea of Peggy asking her the same question again and again every day. But at the same time, she had not even made an attempt to stop Peggy from doing it. Did she even try once telling Peggy that, Peggy, I don't think we should do this to her? She had not. So now she's feeling bad about it. She had stood by silently, and that was just as bad as what Peggy had done. Peggy had done bad by asking, but Maddie was equally responsible because she stood there silently. She did not ask Peggy not to ask Wanda the questions. Worse, she was a coward. She did not have the daring to tell her best friend that please stop doing this. And you know the reason why she did not have the guts. Remember, she felt that she would be targeted. If not Wanda, it would be Maddie. Everyone would start asking her the questions, and then if Peggy asked her the question, then she would have to say, I am wearing Peggy's dress. You remember all that? Yes. So she had not got the guts to actually tell that. At least Peggy hadn't considered they were being mean, but she, Maddie, had thought they were doing wrong. Peggy did not feel that they were doing anything wrong. They were sounding mean. No. What was Peggy's thing to say? She used to say, if I am asking her the question, why is she lying that she has 100 dresses? It's so obvious that she doesn't have it. What she wears to school is also not a good dress. How can this girl have 100 dresses? So Peggy was stuck there. She wanted to know, why is she saying a lie? Why is she speaking a lie? And so Peggy did not find anything mean about it. But Maddie had thought, she knew that they were doing wrong. She could put herself in Wanda's shoes. She could actually feel what Wanda was feeling when they used to make fun of her. Yeah, she put herself in her shoes. Goodness, wasn't there anything she could do? She says, couldn't I have done anything? If only she could tell Wanda she hadn't meant to hurt her feelings. Now she could not tell Peggy, but she's saying, at least I should have gone and told Wanda that, look, we are not really here to hurt your feelings. At least I could have done that. She turned around and stole a glance at Peggy. She turned around and she saw what Peggy was doing, but Peggy did not look up. She seemed to be studying hard. This letter did not make any difference to Peggy. Peggy was still doing her work, but Maddie could not concentrate. She saw Peggy and she saw Peggy still studying hard. It has not made any difference to her. Well, whether Peggy felt bad or not, she, Maddie, had to do something. She says, I don't know about her, but now I know I have to do something about this. She had to find Wanda Petrinsky. She had to go and find her. Maybe she had not yet moved away. She says maybe she's still there. She's packing. She's not yet gone. Maybe Peggy would climb the heights with her and they would tell Wanda she had won the contest, that they thought she was smart and the 100 dresses were beautiful. She says maybe Peggy comes with me right there. You know, she walks up those heights and she would go and tell Wanda that, you know what, you have won the contest. You are way smarter than we thought, and all the 100 dresses were extremely beautiful. She was thinking of doing all this. When school was dismissed, when school got over in the afternoon, Peggy said with pretended casualness, hey, let's go and see if that kid has left town or not. Now again, she's afraid to tell Peggy directly. So, you know, she's sort of pretending that, hey, you know what? They were saying, you know, that kid has left. Just let's go and see, you know, if she's there or not. Has she left the town or not? So Peggy had had the same idea. She also wanted to do the same. Maddie glowed. She was like, hush, thank God. Peg was really all right. She says, okay, so Peg actually did not have ill feelings for that girl. The two girls hurried out of the building, up the street toward Bogan Heights, the part of town that wore such a forbidding air as in an unfriendly or threatening in appearance. It was not really good, that locality. Air on this kind of a November afternoon. Drizzly, damp and dismal. Damp and dismal as in it was wet and sad. I mean, here expressing a state of hopelessness. There was like nothing around. Everything was really wet and it was not really good. There was no good feeling over there. That area was such. Well, at least, said Peggy gruffly, I never did call her a foreigner or make fun of her name. She says, I didn't do that. I did not call her a foreigner and I never made fun of her name. I used to ask her this question, but I never made fun of her name. I never thought she had the sense to know we were making fun of her anyway. Now, Peggy is so underestimating Wanda. She says, I don't think that, she even had that much sense to realize or to come to know that we are making fun of her. Well, I thought she was dumb. I thought she was too dumb. And Guy, look how she has drawn. Just imagine. I thought she was dumb and look at her beautiful drawings. She has done such amazing ones. Maddie could say nothing. All she hoped was that they would find Wanda. Now, Maddie just wanted to find that girl. She was just hoping for that. She wanted to tell her that they were sorry they had picked on her and how wonderful the whole school thought she was. She just wanted to find her at any cost. She just wanted to go and tell her that, look, we are really sorry for what we did to you. She wanted to apologize. She wanted to say sorry. And she also wanted to tell her that the whole school thought that she was really wonderful after they saw her beautiful drawings. And please, not to move away and everybody would be nice. She wanted to go and request her that, please, look, because of us you are going away. Please don't go away. And everyone will be nice to you in school hereafter. Nobody will make fun of you. She wanted to go and tell Wanda all this. She and Peggy would fight anybody who was not nice. In fact, now Maddie and Peggy would fight anybody who would make fun of her. They would really support her this time. The two girls hurried on. They quickly were trying to rush to the place where she lived. They hoped to get to the top of the hill before dark. They were trying. It was a place a little far away and they were climbing that hill hoping to get there before the sun set. I think that's where Petrinskys live, said Maddie, pointing to a little white house. Finally, they reached a little white house and Maddie said, I think they live there. Wisps of old grass stuck up here and there along the pathway like thin kittens. Can you see that? Wisps as in small, thin, twisted bunch of grass. This is small, twisted, and they were all along the pathway just like thin kittens. The house and its sparse little yard, sparse as in thinly dispersed or scattered, a small thing, a little yard over there, looked shabby. It looked untidy. It did not look any great, but yes, it was clean. It reminded Maddie of Wanda's one dress, the one she wore, her faded blue cotton dress, shabby but clean. Now that thing reminded her of Wanda's dress. So they were, really hoping that, they were all full of her right now. So they really hoped that she's there. There was not a sign of life about the house. They could not find any person in that house. Not a sign of life. So beautifully said. There was nobody in that house. It was empty. Peggy knocked firmly on the door, but there was no answer. She knocked on the door, but nobody answered. She and Maddie went around to the backyard and knocked there. They even tried the backyard. Still, there was no answer. There was no doubt about it. The Petrinskys were gone. Now, obviously, the front door, nobody opened. Backyard, they tried from there, nobody opened. So, it was very obvious that they had already left. How could they ever make amends? How could they ever show that they were sorry by doing something good? She was gone. How could they apologize? How could they make her feel that, look, we are really sorry for what we have done and we want to, actually pay for it in some way or the other. We want to do good to you. They had lost that chance. Well, anyway, said Peggy, she's gone now, so what can we do? Now, Peggy was not really bothered because Peggy, had that feeling that I have not been mean to her. So it's okay, now that she's gone, we can do nothing. Besides, when I was asking her about all her dresses, she probably was getting good ideas for her drawings. Now, Peggy is being very smart. She says every time I asked her about her dresses, every time she told me 100 dresses, that question of mine made her think more. So that's why she was getting good ideas for her drawings. That's why she could do those 100 drawings. She might not even have won the contest otherwise. Well, over smart now. Now she's saying maybe, she wouldn't have not even won the contest if I would not have asked her these questions. She wouldn't have got the ideas and obviously she wouldn't have won. So it's okay if I asked her. Now she's just trying to console herself. She's trying to pacify herself. Maddie turned this idea carefully over in her head. For if there were anything in it, she would not have to feel so badly. Now, Maddie turned this idea carefully over in her head. Now, she heard Peggy and she started also accepting it so that she would not feel bad about it. For if there were anything in it, she would not have to feel so badly. She says maybe that's the case. Maybe, you're right. What Peggy is saying is right. And so she will feel less bad about it. But that night, she could not get to sleep. Maddie knew in the bottom of her heart, she was totally aware that she has hurt that girl and she wanted to do something about it. She could not sleep that night. She thought about Wanda and her faded blue dress and the little house she had lived in. She kept thinking, the same things kept coming to her mind again and again. See, when you are disturbed, when there is something bothering you, and because of that you're not able to sleep, those things keep hitting your mind. They keep coming. I said this to my friend, I shouldn't have said, her reaction was so bad. Those things keep hitting your mind again and again. So this is what was happening to her. And she thought of the glowing picture, those 100 dresses made, all lined up in the classroom. Yes, when Wanda used to be asked about the 100 dresses, she would say, they are lined up in the closet, right? But of course, it was not the closet, it was in the classroom. At last, Maddie sat up in bed and pressed her forehead tight in her hands and really thought. Now she was fed up. Those thoughts were killing her. So she literally, pressed her forehead tight with her hands and really thought. This was the hardest thinking she had ever done. She was wondering how to, come out of it. How do we just, stop feeling guilty about it? After a long, long time, she reached an important conclusion. Finally, she came to a decision. She made up her mind. She was never going to stand by and say nothing again. She says, hereafter, if anyone makes fun of anybody, I am going to speak. I'm not going to say nothing. I am going to speak up. If she ever heard anybody picking on someone, treating someone unkindly, unfairly, criticizing them, if anyone did any kind of this wrong things, because they were funny looking or because they had strange names, she'd speak up. She said, the next time in front of me, if anyone does anything wrong, if anyone picks on anyone, I am going to speak. I am not going to remain quiet. Even if it meant losing Peggy's friendship. Before, she was scared of losing Peggy's friendship, so she had not spoken. She says, but now, if I speak up, and even if I have to lose Peggy's friendship, I don't mind. I will speak. She had no way of making things right with Wanda. She had lost that chance of, making things right with Wanda. But from now on, she would never make anybody else that unhappy again. She says, hereafter, I am not going to hurt anyone's heart. I am going to make sure that I speak up even if anyone else does it to anybody. On Saturday, Maddie spent the afternoon with Peggy. They were writing a letter to Wanda Petrinsky. It was just a friendly letter telling about the contest and telling Wanda she had won. Now they both started, they were not over it. They had not come over it. She had gone away, so they had not got the chance to, say sorry to her or make up for what, they had done. So now they're writing a friendly letter to her telling her that, you have won the contest. They told her how pretty her drawings were. They praised, they appreciated the drawings, and they asked her if she liked where she was living and if she liked her new teacher. They also asked her with a very friendly thing that, I hope wherever you are living, it's a nice place and you have got a nice new teacher. They had meant to say they were sorry. They wanted to do that, but it ended up with their just writing a friendly letter. They still did not write sorry in that. They just made it a very friendly approach, the kind they would have written to any good friend. Just like they would have written to any other good friend, they wrote to her. And they signed it with lots of X's for love. They showed a lot of love. X's they put, when you sign it down for love. They mailed the letter to Boggins Heights, writing, "Please forward" on the envelope. Please forward means what? Now remember, she is not there at Boggins Heights any longer. So they put this on the envelope. What does it indicate? Formally requesting the receiver of the letter to forward the letter to the intended recipient. Who was the recipient? Wanda. So whoever got that letter, they requested. Now that please forward meant that if you know this person, Wanda, where she is, please forward the letter to her, because they did not know her new address, right? So days passed and there was no answer, but the letter did not come back. Now, if the letter would have not gone, to Wanda, it would have come back to them. So the days passed by, neither did the reply come, but even the letter did not come back to them. So maybe Wanda had received it. So they were under the impression that, okay, Wanda has received it because we did not get the letter back. Perhaps she was so hurt and angry, she was not going to answer. Now they knew she was actually upset, she was hurt, and that is why she must be angry with us. So obviously, why would she reply back to them? You could not blame her. Obviously, why would anybody blame her? Because they were at fault. So if she did not reply, it's absolutely okay. Weeks went by and still Wanda did not answer. Many weeks passed by. Still, they did not get any reply from Wanda. Peggy had begun to forget the whole business. Now, Peggy said it was out of her mind. It was not bothering her any longer. And Maddie put herself to sleep at night, making speeches about Wanda, defending her from great crowds of girls who were trying to tease her with, "How many dresses have you got?" Now, Maddie was not at peace. She had a disturbed mind when it came to Wanda. She was not like Peggy who forgot about her. But how would Maddie sleep at night? Before she would sleep, she would try to make speeches about Wanda, defending her from great crowds of girls. Now, she was trying to make lines that if anyone told Wanda this, I would go and say this. If anyone asked her, "How many dresses have you got?" I would go and defend her. I would go and save her. I would go and help her answer. So she used to prepare those lines. And before Wanda could press her lips together in a tight line, before she would become quiet, the way she did before answering, Maddie would cry out, "Stop." Every time she was asked, every time Wanda was asked this question, "How many dresses have you got?" her lips were closed together in a tight line. She would just close her lips. The way she did before answering, Maddie would immediately go and say, "Stop." She would go and scream it out there. Then everybody would feel ashamed the way she used to feel. Say, everybody would feel the way Wanda would feel. I'm going to do that. She would keep practicing that. Now, it was Christmas time and there was snow on the ground. Christmas bells and a small tree decorated the classroom. There they all have Christmas trees, so they all celebrate Christmas. So they also had a small Christmas tree in the classroom. On the last day of school, before the holidays, the teacher showed the class a letter she had received that morning. Now, just before they were going to close down for Christmas break, now there they have Christmas break, just before those holidays, the teacher showed the class a letter she had received that morning. You remember Wanda Petrinsky? Now, this was after a long time. So, she's asking the children, do you remember that girl? The gifted little artist who won the drawing contest. That artist, she was gifted, her talent. She had not gone to any drawing classes. It was that talent, that skill was gifted to her by God. So that gifted little artist who won the drawing competition, well, she has written me and I am glad to know where she lives because now I can send her medal. I want to read her letter to you. Now, she received a letter. So obviously, Wanda must have put the, her address where she's currently living. So she says, thank God I got to know where she lives. Now, on the same address, I am going to send her medal to her. Yes. And now, what she has written in the letter, I want to read it out to all of you. The class sat up with a sudden interest and listened intently. Everyone just sat down quietly and they all wanted to know about her. They were waiting to listen what was in that letter. Dear Miss Mason, how are you and room 13? See, so sweet of her. She's asking her, how are you? And she's asking room 13, that everyone, all the people in room 13, please tell the girls they can keep those 100 dresses because in my new house, I have 100 new ones all lined up in my closet. Now, whatever maybe there has been a good change. She says, now actually I have new 100 dresses in my closet. I'd like that girl Peggy to have the drawing of the green dress with the red trimming and her friend Maddie to have the blue one. You remember they used to talk about these two dresses in particular. So she says, tell Peggy to keep that dress, the green one with the red trimming, and please ask Maddie to keep the dress, the blue dress one. For Christmas, I miss that school and my new teacher does not equalize with you. She says, I miss because here I know you all must be celebrating Christmas. I'm actually missing that. And the teacher, the new teacher she has, she's telling Mason she's not as good as you. She does not equalize you. That's the way to say it. Merry Christmas to you and everybody. Yours truly, Wanda Petrinsky. Now, she says, she's so good. I mean, just see, she's a girl with a golden heart. She's still showering her love. She wishes Merry Christmas to the teacher and everyone out there in room 13. So sweet she was. On the way home from school, Maddie and Peggy held their drawings very carefully. Why very carefully? Because remember, they were guilty. So they were holding that drawing very carefully. All the houses had wreaths and holly in the windows. Wreaths, they all have those Christmas decorations. And what is holly? It is a widely distributed evergreen shrub, typically having prickly dark green leaves, having small white flowers and red berries. So these are all the Christmas decorations. Outside the grocery store, hundreds of Christmas trees were stacked because there everyone keeps a Christmas tree in their house. And in the window, candy peppermint sticks, they have those red and white sticks, the candy ones, and cornucopias of shiny transparent paper were strung. Here it is, you can see that decorative containers usually full of flowers and fruits. The air smelled like Christmas and light shining everywhere reflected different colors on the snow. The whole ambience, everywhere they went, they walked down the road, everywhere you could get a Christmas feel because everything was so beautifully decorated, with all the decorations and lights. Boy, said Peggy, this shows she really likes us. Now she's somewhere, she tells, oh my God, why she gave us these drawings? Why specifically to you and me? Because she likes us. It shows she got our letter, and this is her way of saying that everything's all right, and that's that. Now they are trying to say that she's trying to tell us, she did not revert to our letter, but this is how she has reverted by giving these paintings to us. I hope so, said Maddie sadly. She felt sad because she knew she would never see the little tight-lipped Polish girl again and couldn't ever really make things right between them. She was bad. She was feeling really, really sad. Why? Because she knew she would never be able to meet that girl ever again, and she would never straighten up things between them. She went home and she pinned her drawing over a torn place in the pink flowered wallpaper in the bedroom. Remember, Maddie was equally poor. Not as poor, but yes, she was poor. So there was a torn place in the pink flowered wallpaper. She went and put the drawing there. The shabby room came alive. It became nice from the brilliance of the colors. The colors were so beautifully used in that her whole room became better with that one painting. Maddie sat down on her bed and looked at the drawing. She was sad. She was hurt, She didn't know how to get things back. She had stood by and said nothing, but Wanda had been nice to her anyway. See, Wanda was good to her even though Maddie did not directly ask her questions. That Peggy would do. But still, Maddie used to be a part of it. Tears blurred her eyes and she gazed for a long time at the picture. Her heart was crying. She had tears in her eyes that, yaar, what wrong did I do? Why did I hurt that little girl? And she kept staring at the picture. Then hastily, she rubbed her eyes and studied it intently. Then suddenly, she wiped her eyes and she looked at the picture with more concentration. The colors in the dress were so vivid, they were so clear that she had scarcely noticed the face and head of the drawing. She was so lost in the dress, she was so lost in the colors of the dress that she did not realize that the face and the head of that, the model in the painting, she had not noticed. But it looked like her. The picture that was there looked like Maddie. The girl in that picture was the same face like Maddie. It really looked like her own mouth. Why? It really looked like her own self. Suddenly she realizes, oh my God, that's me in the painting. Wanda had really drawn this for her. She had actually drawn it for her. She had not done that because of the letter. Excitedly, she ran over to Peggy's. With full excitement, she took that painting and she ran to Peggy's house. Peg, she said, let me see your picture. She says, let me see yours. What's the matter? Asked Peggy. As they clattered up to her room, they clattered as in they moved while making continuous rattling sounds, to her room where Wanda's drawing was lying face down on the bed. It was just lying there on the bed. Maddie carefully raised it. She took that drawing immediately. Look, she drew you. She's saying, look, the girl in this painting is you. That's you, she exclaimed. And the head and face of this picture did look like Peggy. What did I say? Said Peggy. She must have really liked us anyway. She says, see, I told you I was right. She liked us. That's why she has done this for us. Yes, she must have, agreed Maddie. And she blinked away the tears that came every time she thought of Wanda standing alone in that sunny spot in the schoolyard, looking stolidly over at the group of laughing girls after she had walked off, after she had said, sure, 100 of them all lined up. Every time she thought of Wanda standing in that schoolyard, in that sunny spot, and everyone making fun of her, still that poor soul never spoke back. And all the words she had was, sure, 100 of them all lined up. She would only say those words. That was the beauty of this soul, of this wonderful girl. So yes, knowing what's right doesn't mean much unless you do what's right. Very well said by Theodore Roosevelt. He says, what you know, knowing what's right doesn't mean much. but it is perfect only when you do something right. Maddie knew that what was right and what was wrong, but she did not tell Peggy. Here, this is what matters. If you are doing something right, only then it's the right thing to do, not just by knowing it. Put it into action. So I hope you guys have got a wonderful lesson, from this lesson, and I hope you all implement the same. For such more beautiful messages, keep watching and keep learning.